Starting a new video, and I notice with some of my videos, well, with most cases, the die rolls and stuff are kind of happening out of view. Sometimes I move them into place. Don't know if I can manage to pay enough attention to catch that. Anyway, a new card. Bristol falls to Parliament. Uh-oh. Oh no, that's supposed to be good, right? Yeah, let's see. Rupert surrenders. The new model army takes Bristol, denying the king help from abroad. Well, we got our Scots moving again. And then we have the army of the West with a -1 strength point. But it gets 2 actions, which kind of negates, it weakens the army and makes it easier for me to defeat them. But let's see what we get here. That's not going to do it, but that will. So we drop at 1. We're more worried about this army, but this one is easier to deal with. Puritanism is going to go down because of the Witchfinder General writing the discovery of witches and conducting trials. I don't know why in particular that would be bad for Puritanism, but... And then continued depredations as a result of the continuing and more desperate fighting. The clubman movement spreads, and we get one in the west somewhere. And indeed we do, and this is one we have to deal with. We rolled a 2, that puts it over here in Sussex. And that's one we're going to have to deal with if we want to deal with that army. We've got other problems, though. We've got Ireland, we've got all kind of things to deal with. Take what's easy? Well, no. We've got 4 Fs. So I'm going to open things up with a shot on Ireland, because that's the worst effect as far as I'm concerned right now for us. We don't get it. Now I'm going to go after Puritanism, just so we don't lose the game. Keep going. Lose we may well. 1 shot, we get another 1 or a 2 and we're done. Nope, we survived. Barely. But we're back at 5 cards. And really kind of scary situation in play here. So we weren't able to take advantage of what that card indicated at all. Royalist uprising throughout England. Yeah, it looks like the Royalists have actually got us, heavily on the run here. Again, the cards stop. If you're not doing well, the cards stop meaning their historical meaning at all. And it's a hard game to keep anywhere near the real track. Royalist uprisings take place in Wales, Kent, and Northern England. Yeah, well, whatever. The Royalist armies keep kicking our ass. The Army of the North increases and marches down. The Army of the West will take its sieges on Bristol. Looks like we're going to probably lose that. And it looks to me like we've lost this one. And I don't mean in the sense of, hey, we're not going to win. No, in the sense of we're just so screwed, and it's so likely. There's a civil war in 48 between Owen Roe O'Neill's Ulster army, as he refuses to accept Royalist alliance, and the new Royalist Confederate coalition. Elsewhere, Virginia expels the Puritans. Now, to me, this brief civil war, that should be a bonus for Ireland, right? No, we get penalized again. We can't take it, so, well, we got 4 in the Fs again, and we get a Deviltry card. We haven't taken care of a single one of these. This is number 39 out here in the ocean, whatever that means. Pro-Royalist revolts in parliamentary army. Mutinies lend durability to Charles's position. Monarchy gets a penalty on the die roll. Yeah, we probably weren't going to be moving that one. And finally, there's a political reaction. Bonus. Political reaction means monarchy goes up, and actually Parliament goes up as well. And we're actually out of the position of being lost at this point. And that's our card. Now, yeah, okay. So that's kind of an evening factor, those reaction cards. If you don't pay attention to the charts, you get bonuses out of them. And again, as somebody pointed out, if you memorize the decks, but that's still fun to me. That's not the kind of game I want to play. I don't want to play a game where I have to know the deck, right? Know everything that's going to happen to be able to play it effectively. I don't mind maybe if that's what I need to win the real victory, but I feel like I should be able to react to events as they come up in games rather than have to know everything about them in order to even play effectively. Right, so we got some big problems here. We're not losing yet, but we no longer have the advantage on this, so I'm kind of a little bit more loath to deal with that. I can't fortify anything, though, unless I deal with something. So, the West it is. Do I want to drive the West back? Yeah, see, here's the problem. I spend a point to put this, make it more likely for me to move the West, and I'm going to desire pushing them all the way back. That's not bad, because it gets this out of the way. Is that the best thing I can do? I don't know. I just don't know. I've gotten rid of the bonus on revolts and devilry. I can't do anything about them until I deal with these clubmen. And I get them cleaned out. Well, if I was going to do that, obviously, I want to take care of other things. I'm going to do kind of a Hail Mary and go after one of these devilry markers. Hope it gives me some kind of bonus. And I succeed in taking one out. I get free Puritanism die roll. I'll take that immediately. So I don't have any penalties on that. That gives me a 3. Actually, I could hold that until I need it. I'll hold it until I need it. Because it's not going to do me any good to play it right now. So, now we're going to punch the Army of the West a couple of times. And we fail once. And we fail again. That gets rid of our zeal. That gets rid of this -1 DRM, which we don't want to deal with that while that's out there. And it actually gets rid of this +1 strength, which is cool too. But we've got a lot of problems waiting for us. But we draw an battle card, which is cool. The Battle of Naseby. Battles can give us a huge advantage. We haven't seen it much yet. All right, what do we get here? Naseby was the decisive battle of the First English Civil War. Hey, I thought this was the Second English Civil War card. What? I don't know if that's a typo there or... and a crushing victory for Cromwell and his Ironsides, which we lost. Royalist losses, including 500 officers, could not easily be replaced. Yeah, right. Okay, let's set up our battle. Let's see what we get. A decent draw there. Good draw there. We got Prince Rupert. We get an event, which of course are a mixed bag. We got the Leveler Mutinies. Resolve immediately. Subtract 2 from the combat value of the strongest musket and pike unit on our side. And yes, if we get unfortunate, as we have with the new model army here, which actually is the intention in this card, we get to choose which one in this case. It doesn't hit both. Well, that's cool. So, we got 9 to 8 and 8 to 5. We'll take it on this one. Got some quick dice to do. What does this give us? We can rearrange our units. We don't need to do that. Alright, Cromwell versus Rupert. We got a +1 here. +1 ain't good enough. We're knocked out into the draw box. Even here. We're dropped into the loss box. Oh, it's looking bad. 6 to 5, we're a +1. We're dropped into the draw box. Looks like it's a guaranteed draw here, but we can see, because it's possible some of our units could be killed here. Nope, more in the draw box. So the net effect is we're at 5 zeal. I hadn't marked that. We dropped down to 4. I didn't pay a zeal for the battle. I might have wanted to here. But we're going to have replacements. Never knocking Rupert out. That's painful. We actually had a nice amount of success when my wife and I played getting rid of a lot of the better Royalist units. It still didn't help us, except that battles tended to go our way, but it wasn't enough just learning the game, you know, learning how it's going to go. So the North Army gets to go, and it's sitting here at Bristol, and it gets to siege it. That's 1 hit. That's 2 hits. And this is kind of why you don't want to let the armies get here and wear that out. It's so discouraging, but everything is painful. And the West Army gets to try to take down, what is that? Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was Oxford. This is Bristol. That's 1 hit. That's 2 hits. We only needed 1. So that's a success there. So now we're down to 4 zeal. We get a clubman in the north. Up in the Highlands. That ain't really our problem. Well, that's more a problem that we'll let the Scots deal with. And that's kind of cool for us. King's personal baggage is captured. Yeah, how? We lost every battle we've ever fought. No, not quite. But Parliament published his letters seeking support of the Irish and Catholic nations. This gives us a +1 die roll for Parliament, but we don't really need it there. And then Scotland is going to decrease, improving their army. Now we can screw with Scotland more easily than we can screw with the Irish. That's Montrose continues to win battles for the monarchy. All right. Well, things look pretty damn dire at this point. First of all, we're at 3 Fs, and this one is hard to pull out. We can't fortify Oxford. We could fortify London, but, you know, at this point in the game, it feels so late to be trying to do that. I don't think we can screw with Scotland because of those clubmen there. I'm not sure. I have to look that up, because that's behind their lines. I know it's their problem, but I don't know if it's also ours. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to figure that out. So very quick to find because of these little images. Once you start getting used to the rules, they become more helpful to you. So this tells me, hey, it's a clubman event. I look at it. This is the key rules I think about the clubman. And it tells me I don't have to, I'm not affected by it until it's behind enemy lines, or not behind enemy lines. All right, what do I want to do then? I want to get my zeal to where I can play for the rest of the game, but I've got so many threats on me that I don't know what to take. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to club that army to knock it back. Yeah, I'm going to roll lots of dice and fail for a while is actually what I think is going to happen. That wasn't too bad. Alright, I'm upgrading Oxford by 2. I know I've got problems all over the place. You know, I'm just trying to hold on at this point. I got reshuffling and stuff to do, so, well, this is a good time to stop videoing for a while. I do the shuffling kind of like I'm playing with dominoes. I wanted to think about this though because this was probably a stupid way to reshuffle. When I only have like 1 counter over there, maybe what I ought to do, since I randomize what's getting drawn anyway, roll the dice for which of the 6 draw pools to put it in, and then roll a die for which position it's in. Yes, I have a little bit of prior knowledge, but who cares when it comes down to it? Anyhow, I did this here. I certainly will do it, the shuffling with the musket and pike. I don't do that so much with the cav. I just shuffle them by hand and don't worry too much about how much I mix them up, because to me they're completely randomized. but I don't completely randomize the 6 piles. I just draw from the top of whichever one I roll for. So I feel like I have to randomize them up a little bit. I made an observation out on the porch while I was looking at the rules to another Victory Point games. Not this sort of, deluxe treatment of a full book and pictures and all that in it. It does still, though, have a lot of the yellow highlighting and everything. But one thing you notice with it, and I noticed it with this one, was kind of clever little phrases. I don't know, here, for example, the procedure. I think it depends on, I'm not sure how much that's Alan's work or if it's the designer put some effort into that instead, and maybe gets talked into it but then ends up adding them. I'm not sure which way it goes, but in this case they're kind of punny and they sometimes kind of annoy me a little bit. But in this other one I noticed immediately a very interesting factor. It was speed limit for movement allowance. It doesn't talk about movement allowance, I think, at all in the rules, but it has this section headed speed limit. And in a lot of ways, I can see where bringing new players into the game, using something like that instead of just, building on the efforts of decades of wargaming experience. Well, it's tougher to bring new players in if there's this expectation that you're familiar with old designs of rules and what's gone before, and the terms like movement allowance and stuff would be so common. But saying speed limit kind of grounds it in everyday terms for other people, for people who aren't used to wargaming. This is a more traditional hex and counter game. It's just an observation where it may actually be a little harder for someone like me or someone who has a lot of experience with the wargames. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it may be significantly easier for someone who's never played these things. Rather than explaining, movement allowance and what that means, using it in terms that ground well to reality that people face in regular life can be a significant advantage, I suppose. More of that careful design aligned with a certain pedagogical philosophy in place. But, in some cases, I think it goes overboard, like with the highlighting. Lots of students in a class will like highlighting, but some of us actually shy away from it and don't want that, and it actually decreases our ability to obtain and retain information. And anyway, I've talked enough about that, I think, but all right, time to continue my kind of lazy pass through this game in terms of slowness. I'm hooked on video games again, and getting sick got me back into playing one that I'd kind of pushed aside before that. So let's pull our card. It's something else we can buy. Salus Populi Suprema Lex. Oh no, this is an achievement. So they're campaigning revolts, parliaments at A, and we own Edinburgh with a 4 zeal. It has some effect on the Charles Scottish armies. So now the question is, what do we want to get rid of? Self-denying ordinance is really, it's not that hard. I'm going to get rid of the interregnum because it's pretty hard. Well, we're on the last card because there's only one. Which means this is going to be a short video, I believe. The Fate of King Charles. Found guilty. Hey. Pro confessa. Sounds kind of like as nullo contendere, but unhappy King Charles is taken to a scaffold outside the Palace of Whitehall and publicly beheaded. So the first things first, we get hit with an Ireland. Our pick, what do we want to lose? Well, given how far down everything is, I'm going to take a Parliament hit. We get an unrest in London. Yay. And yes, that's a success. We only needed one. We lose a zeal. John Milton writes Iconoclastes to justify the execution of King Charles, countering royalist propaganda, Icon Basiliki. We get a zeal for that. If the royalist army of the north or west is in its region 2 or closer to London, King Charles escapes. Replace the Army of Scotland with the Charles Army of Scotland unit with 2 of these. Ouch. So we did not kill the Scots, or the Stuart King. Same side up. Otherwise, Charles is dead, is tried and beheaded. Replace the Army of Scotland with the Charles II. A weaker version, which I don't know if it's particularly... we lose the blue victory point on this one. Okay. So that was not a good result for us. We do get to play out this turn, and then this is the end of the era. Well, that's not good. This isn't particularly stronger, it just costs us more victory points for its existence, because it includes Charles in it. Good God. Well, we kept ourselves at 3 Fs. I need to deal with that. I'm going to put my zeal against it, and I'm going to start hitting. I don't have a lot of rolls, but it's all I got. Drove them back once. We're just going to keep hitting them. We want to not get as much time as possible so that we can take this city back. And one last time. Nice rolls, yeah? And that is a disorder. We're going to be at 4 zeal again, which we obviously have to try to fix, but... And I'll prepare a new deck. Meanwhile, we'll send this up.